So the NBA 2K series for the Nintendo Switch is something we review every year on this channel. I usually do an in-depth review of it because I am a basketball fan and I am an NBA 2K fan. I've been playing the series since it originated on the Sega Dreamcast. I of course fell in love with it on the PlayStation 2 when they added in the analog shot stick, and it's just been the pinnacle of basketball experiences for me. It's always been better than NBA Live, even though NBA Live tried to do some different things. Other franchises have come and gone, but right now the NBA 2K series, much like the Madden series with football is concerned, is pretty much the only game in town if you want a simulation basketball experience. And like I said, I usually do an in-depth review of these games, but really I just want to talk about NBA 2K21 for the Nintendo Switch because there's a major problem with this game, and I don't really foresee myself being able to overlook this problem, and it's really just sort of hampering my experience and my enjoyment with this game because I'm not really having fun with NBA 2K21 like I have with previous entries in the series. So I basically just want to talk off the cuff and talk about this game, what I've experienced so far, and what the major problem is. Of course, the NBA 2K series in recent memory has been known for the My Career mode, which is where they put a story in your sports game. And I know that there's a lot of people that do enjoy the My Career stuff. They enjoy building up a player and having some deep sort of story. But if I wanted to do something like this, I would just watch Blue Chips. You know, it's never really interested me, the sort of back end of the basketball stuff that some people experience when they are trying to climb up through the league. And I've always felt the stories were kind of cheesy. And once again, the story just isn't really hitting with me in the My Player mode for the My Career aspect of the game. It does seem a little bit glitchy on the Nintendo Switch as well. In this cutscene here, for some reason, my player is all gray and there's weird texture flares going on and whatnot. I wasn't quite sure what was going on with this. I actually restarted this because I was trying to skip the story and just get into the actual gameplay, and I accidentally exited out, and once I went back into it, it did the same cutscene again, and for some reason I was an old gray man. Like, I get it, I got a little gray in my beard and in my hair, but like, it's not that bad. Like, don't do that to me, NBA 2K. What are you doing? Of course, there is the new sort of beach aesthetic for the My Player stuff, and I think it does look nice. Nobody wanted to play with me because I'm just a short white guy, and like, I get it, you know, I'm not obviously the most attractive looking player out there on the court. I ended up getting into a game. It was fine, it worked well, but like I said, I've never really been interested in this. It's very predatory with things like the virtual currency, where you can buy virtual currency to basically boost up your player so that he doesn't suck. My player sucks because I just play the game naturally, and so you're almost at a disadvantage if you're not using the virtual currency within the game. Of course, there is the My Team mode, which once again has that sort of card pack aesthetic to it. A lot of predatory stuff, a lot of virtual currency stuff, wanting you to spend your real world money, and it's not for me. Whenever I play a sports game, I don't need story, I don't need things like that. I want to play the actual sport that is involved. If I'm playing a baseball game, I'm playing it because I want to play baseball. Football, same sort of thing. So I'm always attracted to the main core of the game, which in my opinion is the actual basketball experience. And they have done some changes to NBA 2K21, and really that's where the problem lies with this game for me. Now, there are some positive changes that I did notice that I think are very good. One of the major changes in this game has to be that blocking has a lot more emphasis in this game, and it feels a lot more natural. You can tell because they actually have like a cutaway little cutscene thing for when you have a nice block and they want to showcase that block, but it definitely seems a lot more momentum based and sort of wingspan based and timing based, more so than just an actual skill number, you know, an attribute number that was always important for blocking. If you had like a 99 block, you were pretty much Jesus blocking everything. Whereas now, if you time things right, if you have a good position on a player, pretty much anyone can block sort of anything. And I do like that about the game. I think that's a big step in the right direction. The steals and whatnot still feel pretty much like NBA 2K20 did. You know, they're good. I think they're fine, but there's definitely a more emphasis on blocking in this game, which I think is nice. And they also have changed something pretty major within this game, and that of course goes with the shot stick, and it's a good thing, but it's also the problem with this game. Now, the good side of it has to be the fact that it is a lot easier to do dribble moves with this new control scheme, because essentially the second analog stick isn't your shot stick anymore. It's pretty much your dribble stick, which is something that we of course have seen in games like NBA Live, because they didn't really want to copy the NBA 2K controller scheme and just be called a copycat. And it definitely feels a lot more fluid and a lot more intuitive intuitive with these mapped moves to the controller stick now, because honestly, I feel like it's a lot easier to pull off a lot of these moves and sort of get open if you want to get open, if you're doing an ISO or something like that. And I think it's definitely a positive thing. But on the flip side, you had to take away the shot stick with this game, and that's really where the problem lies, because the shooting in this game just doesn't work well. It doesn't feel good. And considering that offense is a very important part of basketball, it really takes away from the experience for me. So you can sort of use the shot stick in a roundabout way. If you hold the second analog stick completely down, your character or player on the court will do a shot. And when you're doing that, basically a meter comes up, and you want to hold it down within that meter, or else you will be left or right on your shot. And it just doesn't work the way you want it to work, especially when you're someone like me who has been programmed to use the second analog stick as a shot stick. Whenever I would try to play NBA Live or something like that, I honestly felt very lost because I didn't have my second shot stick, and that was the most important thing to me. And it's something that you see a lot of people talking about online. Even Damian Lillard, who is the cover athlete of this game, actually tweeted out that he felt like his shots were off and his shots weren't hitting, and it really comes down to that sort of shot stick thing. If you're a superstar player like Damian Lillard, it's actually a lot easier than if you are just an average player. And as someone who doesn't, like to play as superstar teams all that much, my two teams are the New York Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets, which don't really have that superstar character on them. It's definitely very, very hard to do any sort of jump shots or anything like that. And that actually translates into when you're in the post as well. If you're driving towards the basket, you can sort of do dunks with the second analog stick, and it sort of works. But once again, if your character is not going to do a dunk, if they want to do a layup instead, they're going to have to deal with that meter where it's either left or right. And it's very confusing to me, and it's something that I felt like maybe I could adjust to, but the more I play this game, the more I get confused. Even free throws are absolutely bizarre, because when you pull down that second analog stick to do the shot, sometimes the meter will be in a different location, and the whole goal of it is to sort of roll your thumb into that little position where the meter is before the shot releases, so that you can get that shot up in time and that is an accurate shot. But it just doesn't work out for me. Now, on the flip side, you can of course still shoot with a button command, and that does work a little bit better. But once again, you have another meter, which is a different meter that's actually based on timing. So you have two different meters going on for two different shots. If you do the analog stick to do your shot, it's based on how you are holding that analog stick, if it's to the left, to the right, or down in the center. Don't even get me started on angle shots in this game as well, because then it just gets completely different, especially if you're using a broadcast camera or anything like that, because it just becomes a whole completely different thing. Whereas when you use the button to shoot a shot, it's more based on timing, which is what a lot of people are used to. I feel like the vast majority of people are used to it, and maybe I am in the minority in this. Maybe most people have been using button commands to play NBA 2K games all throughout the years, which is fine. If that's the way you play, that's the way you play. But if you've been someone like me who has used the analog stick for your shots and have control over your shots for so long, it just doesn't feel nearly as good as NBA 2K20 does. And that's just a huge problem to me. Now, other things with this game, I think the graphics look fine. The character models have been somewhat updated. It does feel and look a lot like NBA 2K20 did on the Nintendo Switch. I didn't really notice many huge variations or anything like that. Of course, there's the whole fact that the current NBA season is still going on, so you have to factor in, well, there's a draft coming and you're going to have new players coming in. How is NBA 2K21 going to handle all of that stuff? I would assume it would be a free update, to make the rosters basically what they need to be and have the players where they need to be. But I was just very disappointed with this game. After enjoying NBA 2K20 for so much time, I really enjoyed NBA 2K20. I didn't like the predatory stuff with the, virtual currency in the game where they're trying to get you to spend real world money for everything, but I've never been about that. I've always been about the core basketball experience, and the fact that the shot stick is now gone, it really feels to me personally like you have less control over your character's shots and less control when you're in the post and less control when you're driving as well, because it's just not nearly as intuitive as it used to be. And you could see people complaining about this on Twitter, that their shot shots aren't falling when they feel like they should fall. If you have a superstar character like Giannis or something like that, it's very easy to play this game because you can just simply drive to the hole and he really couldn't be stopped. Now, if you read my tweet about NBA 2K21, the demo, I was actually sort of positive about this new shot mechanic because I thought it worked well. But thinking back on that, you only had two teams to play as. You had the Bucks and the Clippers, and I kept choosing the Bucks, and I would pretty much just dominate with Giannis. So I never really got beyond the whole shooting mechanic within the game because I was doing mostly dribble drives to the hole. Sometimes I would kick it out to someone like Middleton to hit an open three or something like that, but for the vast majority of it, I was just controlling Giannis. And now I'm realizing that it's actually a bigger problem with this shot stick because it's just not as good as it used to be. And I feel like this was sort of an unnecessary change. I get it. You wanted to do something different to differentiate this game from the past few previous entries in the franchise, and that's okay, but you have to do something that's actually going to work, that's actually going to make the game better. And I definitely feel like NBA 2K21 is a step back when you compare it to NBA 2K20. Like I said, I was gonna do a full review of this game, but really the game just almost feels half-assed at points and times. You know, when you're going to the studio for the halftime presentation, they don't turn the lights on or anything like that, so Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq are just like sitting in the dark, and it almost feels like this game was sort of rushed. Obviously, real world situations probably put some sort of damper on the production of this game, but it almost feels like it's time to do something different with it. And maybe with the next generation game, maybe that's what they're focusing on, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X edition of NBA 2K21. Maybe that's where all the focus went into. But if that was the case, why change up the shots and why change up, you know, the core gameplay that so many people have been used to for so many years? So those are my thoughts on NBA 2K21. Honestly, I say wait for a sale unless you are a die-hard basketball fan, but there's really no point in picking up this game right now unless you want to do stuff like the My Career mode, because like I said, the NBA season is still going on. The rosters haven't updated. We haven't gotten the draft or anything yet. So really, you could pick up NBA 2K20 on your Nintendo Switch, which has been on sale for $5 at the time of the filming of this video, and have a better basketball experience with the exact same rosters that are going on in NBA 2K21. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know what you think of NBA 2K21 in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, check out other videos, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.